Ahoy, explorer! Welcome along to the grandest adventure of the week. It's time to search the universe for the best secrets in a brand new Fun Kids Science Weekly. My name's Dan. This week we've got very funny stuff. We know that humans can laugh, but are we it? What about chimps, rats, and even dogs?
If we thought about maybe a rat laughing, and we know that rats can laugh, that would be actually a much more high-pitched sound, something that we wouldn't hear just as we would hear each other laugh, for example.
In Dangerous Dan, we'll dive to the very bottom of the ocean and we'll uncover the secret to staying young.
So the secrets of being a good older adult is be a young, active person. So going out, doing sport, be physically active, but also mentally active.
It's all on the way in a brand new Fun Kids Science Weekly. Shall we start with your science in the news? All right then, killer whales have been spotted giving each other massages. Using drones, scientists have filmed the creatures in the North Pacific Ocean using kelp to give each other a scratch. They bite off the kelp, which is like a seaweed shaped in a tube. Then they put it on another orca's back. Then they roll against each other to massage both of their backs at the same time. Experts think that it may have a health or a hygiene function, and that it helps the orcas make friends. Well, they are a type of whale. We know that they are geniuses, so it's not a massive surprise that they socialise and they try and stay clean and relaxed, just like you and me. Also, a powerful new telescope in Chile has unveiled its first pictures, showing off how it can peer into the dark depths of the universe. In one picture, you can see vast, coloured gas clouds swirling and making stars, brand new ones, 9,000 light years away from us. The telescope lives in the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, and it hopes to transform our understanding of the universe and may even find another planet in the solar system. Because what do we have? Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. There used to be Pluto, the ninth, but that went. It was too small, so maybe it will find a brand new planet. I'm very excited about that. And our final story this week, governments across the UK are changing zoos for the better. They've recently released new zoo standards for Great Britain, which hope to improve animal welfare. Shall we find out how? Professor of Zoo Animal Welfare, Samantha Ward, joins us. Samantha, thank you for being there. How good is this news?
Hi, thanks for having me. It's amazing. I'm really excited for the zoo animals, that their lives are going to be enriched even further within our UK zoos.
Now, when we go to zoos, we might think everything looks fine, that the animals seem brilliantly treated, and that's been the way for years and years and years. But has that not been the case?
In majority of cases, it is the case. We do have a lot of really good zoos in this country. We're one of the only countries in the world that actually has an inspection for the zoos. So we do already maintain some good levels of standards for the welfare of the animals in our country. But these standards just mean that we were able to learn from science. So there's lots of research that goes on with looking into animal welfare in zoo animals. And we've now been able to embed some more updates, I suppose, a little bit stronger into the legislation. So that means realistically we're changing what the animals need based on the scientific evidence of what we found makes them happier.
Now, how do we know that some animals may not have been too pleased with where they were living over the last few years?
So there's a few little metrics that we can use that we can monitor animal welfare quite easily in zoos. Some of these are called, abnormal behaviours, and some of these are called stereotypic behaviours. Now, these are behaviours that don't really provide the animal of any benefit whatsoever. So they're normally repetitive. They're quite, they might involve pacing. They might involve scratching. And essentially it doesn't give any benefit to the animal whatsoever. They just kind of do it out of habit almost. So we can see that in similar with some humans, over scratching, you're nervous, the same sorts of behaviors that you'll see in lots of different animals. So with some species like big carnivores, big cats, tigers, lions, you might see repetitive pacing. So backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. So these are the sorts of signs that show that the animal is not in a brilliant place psychologically. And that's when we need to start and make changes to their environment and maybe their care so that we can improve things to reduce the likelihood of these things happening.
Now, you've said over the last 4 or 5 years, you've put together a big document on everything that's going to change. What are the key things? What's the headline, Samantha?
The key things for me certainly is elephants. The focus has been quite a lot on elephants in captivity. We have sort of suggested that they need a lot more space. So the amount of space that elephants are being required to have in UK zoos has, I think, multiplied by about 30 times, which is massive. We've also put some restrictions with regards to birds of prey. So some zoos will have birds of prey shows where you will see a bird tethered or tied to a stand. Now, the amount of time that the animals have to be tethered for, can be tethered for, has drastically been reduced, if not removed completely for some species. So there are two major parts. A lot of the other recommendations are more generic in terms of the species. So maybe an element of, with regards to reptiles or amphibians or animals that live within controlled environments. So it might be aquatics as well. So we have to make sure that, or zoos will have to make sure that they are monitoring their conditions on a regular basis, daily, if not more so than daily. They'll also provide a plan as to what's appropriate for those particular species, and they will not be able to remove animals out of those enclosures unless they are being transported maybe for conservation measures or something along those sorts of lines. So the ideas of taking snakes out of enclosures to be able to hold them as part of educational shows, that's going to have to change slightly, and zoos are going to have to think a little bit more on their feet as to how to protect the welfare of the animals whilst also increasing the educational elements of having these animals in zoos.
Now, you've said that this comes from new sciences and us being able to study animals and learn what they like, what they don't like, maybe what they should have in a completely different way. And technology is always changing. So how often in the future are we going to have to revisit these rules and maybe change how we keep our creatures in zoos?
It's a very good question. I would really like to hope that it's much quicker than the process that we've just been through. I would like to think that it's something that we look at least every 10 years. There's no set guidelines within DEFRA or within the government for that. But I think because animal welfare science is rapidly changing, and our knowledge of animals and what their requirements are within captive environments is advancing so quickly, then I think we really need to be looking at this on a 10-year basis. But like I say, there's no definite sort of quantification of that. It's just that's what I think would be good.
Working for animals everywhere, Samantha Ward, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been lovely.
How amazing is that? Next time you go to a zoo, you can really try and spot how much happier the animals are. I wonder if you'll be able to notice. Shall we get to your questions then? If you have anything sciencey that you want answered, about anything sciencey at all, make sure you leave it as a voice note for me on the free Fun Kids app or at funkidslive.com. That way I can do the digging. You can star in the podcast and I'll get a real genius to sort it out for you. First up this week is a message from Leo, who wants to know, why are some people allergic to different things? Well, you have allergies, Leo, because your body is confused. You have an immune system which helps defend your body from intruders, viruses, bacteria. But it mistakenly believes that some normally harmless substances are actually threats. Now, normally this can be something like pollen, maybe if you've got hay fever, or some food like nuts, or even pet hair food, actually. I'm quite allergic to apples. Not massively, but they make my throat all scratchy. And then if I forget about it, I touch an apple and then I rub my eye, I can cry for quite a long time. So food does it for me. When you encounter what makes you allergic, the allergen, that's what we call it, your immune system overreacts by making antibodies. These then trigger histamine. It's a chemical. It gets to work to try and fight the invasion, and it makes you sneeze or itch. Parts of your body might swell up. You can even get much more severe, dangerous reactions. Now, why you are allergic to different things is a mix of maybe your genetics, the DNA, the information that makes you who you are. Perhaps if your mum or your dad is allergic to something, you might be allergic to the same thing. Or there's also something interesting on whether you've been exposed to the allergen before. sometimes if your body doesn't know what it is, because you've never eaten it until you're older, it's more likely to think it's a threat. Other times, it's the reverse. If you've had too much of something, maybe your body suddenly decides that this is trying to take over, so it'll get to work with the histamine. Sometimes it's just luck, Leo. Everyone's immune system works in completely different ways. I hope I covered that for you. Let's get on another question then. This is a voice note sent in by Benji.
Hi, Dan. My name is Benji. I live in Mortimer, and my question is, do animals laugh, and what is laughter by?
Well, Benji, thank you so much for your question. Do animals laugh? If we're asking that, do we also need to ask, can an animal find something funny? Should we figure that out with Dr. Jacqueline Boyd from Nottingham Trent University, who joins us? Jackie, thank you so much for being there. Do animals laugh?
It's a great question. And the easy answer is yes, they do, but possibly not in the same way that we would expect them to laugh. So their laughing would be very different to the way we laugh as humans.
What do we mean by that? Is it how they're making the sound? Is it actually the purpose of a laugh? What's different?
Yeah, it's a great point about the differences between different animals and ourselves. So laughing itself very much is a physical response to usually something that's pleasurable, usually something that's funny and enjoyable. So it's an outward kind of reflection of how we feel, our emotional state. Animals can do the same thing. So other species of animals can do the same thing. But the noises they make would be subtly different to the laugh that we make. So laughing is basically contraction of the respiratory system in response to an emotional state. Different animals, so birds, for example, will do this subtly different to mammals. Of course, we're a mammal. If we look at chimpanzees, which are relatively closely related to ourselves and very similar, they would have something that would be much more akin to a human laugh in response to pleasure and play and fun things. If we thought about maybe a rat laughing, and we know that rats can laugh, that would be actually a much more high-pitched sound, something that we wouldn't hear just as we would hear each other laugh, for example. So there are some really interesting differences between different species of animals in terms of laughing.
So hang on, this is kind of warped my mind a little bit. Animals have a sense of humour, like they can see something, they have a reaction, and they think, oh, I enjoyed that tickled me.
I think it's a difficult one to say 100% that animals have a sense of humour, because we are always one species trying to understand how another species perceives the world. But we can say that animals absolutely do have emotions, and they feel the same emotional states that we would feel. So sort of pain, pleasure, fear, anxiety, all of these things. So it makes perfect sense that, let's say, and I'll take dogs, for example, if two dogs are playing and clearly having a good fun time, they will be making appropriate vocalizations to each other, partly to signal to each other how they're feeling and how that interaction is going. But also as a kind of outward manifestation of how they actually feel in that situation.
Do we have any understanding of degrees of what animals can feel? Like you've just said, dogs, they'll be playing, they'll be having a good time, and they will show that through a sound. Is it the same for an ant? Do we know? Is there a level where creatures get smart enough to be able to understand this emotion?
I think understanding it is sometimes a bit of a difficult one, because again, we're always trying to work out how another animal is feeling in a given situation. But I think what we can absolutely say, and certainly with mammals and probably with birds and other species of animals, there are very strong similarities in terms of how the brains process external stimuli and then how the brain responds to that. So in terms of emotions, there's a pretty strong commonality in terms of emotions across lots of different species, which I find really exciting as an animal scientist, that, animals do fundamentally have more or less similar biology across lots of their behaviours and the responses and how they exist in the world around them.
Benji, there you go. Do animals laugh? Yes, they do, but it might sound completely different to yours. Dr. Jacqueline Boyd, thank you for joining us. If you are listening in the UK and you are near Sheffield, well, in 1 week's time, you can come explore the universe with me. I'm kicking off a summer stuffed full of science at Crosswires Festival in Sheffield on the 6th of July, which is a Sunday. I'm bringing Fun Kids Science Weekly live to the city. I can't wait. It's me, it's some brilliant experiments, an actual slab of meteorite from outer space, and I'll be joined by my mates from the Magna Science Adventure Centre who'll bring some very slimy, explosive things, loads of experiments there, and we'll have some dangerous beasts. Zoo Lab are going to come along. So if you're nearby and you'd love to come and see the show, that's happening on the 6th of July at the Crossed Wires Podcast Festival up in Sheffield. And then we move on, taking it all around the UK. You can find out where I'm playing near you and get your tickets to all the shows at funkidslive.com/tour. It's time for this week's Dangerous Dan then, where we discover the most weird, unique, and often deadly things in the universe. Now this week, we're headed to the deepest, darkest waters of the ocean to try and spot the cookie cutter shark. This beast is quite small, growing to just 1/2 metre long. They've got a sleek body with a short, round snout. Its large, oval eyes are right on the front of its head. Its mouth is a tight line with large, fleshy lips. It's crammed, full of teeth, these knife-like blades that lock together. That's where it gets its name, because it makes a mark like a cookie cutter might make when you're baking biscuits. It takes these strange circular bites out of prey, round and jagged. It eats all sorts of marine life, mainly feasting on squid. When it gets in, its jaws swivel like a saw. It's a brilliant hunter too. It lurks in the shadows, tailing whatever it wants to eat. And it's got bioluminescence, so part of its body might glow in the dark to confuse prey, to make more of a shadow, so it can be very sneaky. Now, we don't know too much about it because it lives down so deep, but we do know that it travels higher in the ocean, right? Floating up more than 1 kilometre higher in the sea at the end of the day, before dropping deeper when the sun rises. So it's very strange, very unique, but what we do know about it, it can be very deadly. And it eats in an utterly singular way. That's why the cookie cutter shark goes straight onto our Dangerous Dan list. This week in Battle of the Sciences, where we try ever so hard to discover the greatest science in the history of the universe, we are looking at you, how you play, how you move, how you exercise, and how that may change when you get older. Plus, what can help, with Dr. Daniele Magistro from Nottingham Trent University. Daniele, thank you for joining us. You have 1 minute to tell us why sports science is the greatest science around. That minute starts in 3, 2, 1, go!
Hi, good morning everyone. I'm Daniele, and my science is all about keeping people moving and living their best life as they get older. So I study how physical activity and like walking, dancing, play games or sport helps children and older adults stay strong, independent, sharp over time. In general, we know that being active is not just good for the muscle, it helps also memory, the balance, our mood, and also creating friendship and not feeling alone. So I also explore how technology like smartwatches or robots can help older adults and people over time to move more and make everyday tasks easier.
Hey, Daniele, thank you so much. That's your minute done. Now, a lot of your science is focused on how we can be fit and we can be happy and healthy as we get older. What can we do when we are much younger to give ourselves the best chance of being really healthy when we're older?
Oh, it's start to do something. So the secrets of being a good older adult is be a young, active person. So going out, doing sport, be physically active, but also mentally active. And this is a great combination because when we do sport, we just not move our body, but we use our brain and our cognitive activities.
Now, Daniele, so much of the world around us right now is designed to make us cozy and comfortable. Maybe we get a job where we're sat at a desk all day, then we go home and we sit on our sofa, we take a car, everything is done for us. What part does that play in making us unhealthy when we get a little bit older?
A big part. So, of course, we cannot stand and run and walk every moment of the day. As you say, we are at school, we are working, we are sitting in front of the desk. So, and this can affect negatively. This is called sedentary behavior. So when our body doesn't work, so we are not using, not consume energy, and that can lead to health problem over time, like a chronic disease, like diabetes, problem with the blood pressure, etc. So the secrets on this is try to be active as much as possible and try to find the personal solution to integrate physical activity in our life as best as we can over time.
Now, we know through society and a little bit of common sense quite a lot about what can help us be healthy when we're older, eating right, doing lots of exercise. In your work, Daniele, what new discoveries are you making with maybe AI or robotics that could help stretch our age and give us lots of really good years as we get much older?
Currently, we are working on humanoid robots or have the shape of an animal. Try to use this new technology to help people to remain physically active. For example, while we are becoming older, we cannot go to the supermarket and bring our grocery bags because they are too heavy. So the robots can help us to do that. On the same time, we are active because we are walking to the supermarket. So there are systems that try to support us in everyday lives, or they can remind us when to take a medicine or how to cook. So, for example, reminding recipe on cooking food. So we are active at home by doing something, standing and cooking, gardening, and not just sitting in a passive way in front of, the television.
If you were to give us maybe 2 or 3 tips on what we can do right now when we're young that might really help us when we're older, what very specific things might you say?
I would say try to be physically active as much as you can. Try to do what you like, because if we do physically something that we like, we can maintain that activity over time. So if you find an activity that is walking, running, playing with friends, walking with the dogs, everything that makes you physically active, stay with the habits, build up that habits over time and keep it forever.
Brilliant chat about habits. Now, we always finish these, Daniele, in exactly the same way. If I were to throw you forward years and years to your own long-lived life, when you're not working anymore, what's the one question that you really want answered? What do you want to discover in the field of sports science?
Oh, that is a great question. One of the bigger, I would say, mystery or things that we need to understand is which one is the best activity we can do. Until now, we know that physical activity is good, but try to understand very well what is the quantity or how much, when and where we need to do that is still a little bit unknown. So that is something that I would like to know, to say, this is my recipe. This is working very well for maintaining health over time.
Well, listen, you listening right now, we've heard from so many experts all about astronomy and physics and AI, and that's amazing. But perhaps this is the science that's most useful to you right now. What do you think, Dr. Daniele Magistro? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Bye.
Thank you so much to Daniele Magistro for telling us why sports science and things like that should be the best science in the world. He spoke about drinking water, how that keeps us healthy. We can find out more now with another favourite genius that we know, Professor Hallux. He's one of our favourite absolute experts. In this episode, Hallux is exploring how much water we should be drinking and why you need to drink more at certain times, maybe when you're unwell, or if you're in a hot place, or when you're exercising, perhaps.
Hallux's Hydration Help Desk. Call accepted.
Hello, Professor. If water's meant to be good for you, exactly how much water should I be drinking?
Oh, good question. Nanobot, can you help?
Well, a 10-year-old child needs around 2 litres of water every day to replenish what is lost through micturition defecation, exhalation and perspiration.
Or to put it in much simpler terms, you need about 1 big bottle's worth of water to replace what you lose by going to the loo, breathing out and sweating.
That's what I said.
Now, all that water doesn't have to come from drinking. 1/4 of that 2 litre target tends to come from food. There's lots of foods which contain water, from juicy fruits like watermelon that are over 90% made up of the stuff, to foods like eggs, meat and cheese, which all contain some water. But on their own, food just isn't enough.
You still need to drink. Scientists say children between 4 and 8 years old need to drink 4 to 6 glasses of water every day, and children between 9 and 12 should drink 6 to 8 glasses. Each glass should be between 150 and 200 millilitres. If you look on the side of your school water bottle, there might be a measuring scale which shows you how much that is. If it's not, it's about half a regular mug.
That's right, nurse. There may be times, though, when you need to drink more than 6 to 8 glasses of water, like if it's a very hot day and you've been running about. You'll be losing a lot more water every hour. Similarly, if you've had an upset stomach, you'll have lost more water than usual when you go to the toilet. Eating certain foods, especially salty ones, can dehydrate you more than usual. Don't worry though, your body will often give you signs that you need a top-up. But generally speaking, you don't need to drink more than the guidelines suggest. You'll only spend all your time weeing it out again. And if I did that, I'd have less time for inventing. So stick to 4 to 6 glasses if you're under 8 and 6 to 8 if you're older. Pretty simple, huh?
Hallux's Hydration Help Desk, with support from the Children's Health Fund. Find out more at funkidslive.com/Hallux.
You can hear more from Professor Hallux and loads more of our favourite geniuses wherever you've got this. Tons of podcasts there. It's on Google, Apple, Spotify, and on the free Fun Kids app and at funkidslive.com too. Make sure you are ready for Sheffield at the Crossed Wires Festival on the 6th of July for the very first Fun Kids Science Weekly live show this summer. Get your tickets funkidslive.com/tour. And Fun Kids are our children's radio station from the UK. You can listen all over the country on the app, on our website, and if you've got a smart speaker, wake it up and ask it to play Fun Kids.